You're listening to 1680 WOKB AM, Winter Garden, Florida.
Good morning, everyone. This is Savella Morgan here. Welcome back to 21st Century Hannah. Thank you so much for once again allowing me to sit with you a while. Well, for 30 minutes. If you remember from our last visit, the premiere of my show, the subject matter at 21st Century Hannah is about women who could not have children. I would like to give you some quick statistics, which I will try to do before we end the show, just so you can see how many men and women are affected by the inability to have children. Yes, I said men and women. And so when you look at the statistics on a percentage level, the percentages look low, but when you look at the numbers, it's to me the numbers were astronomical, and so and those are just the numbers in the United States. So I'll try to have those numbers for you before we end the show. But I wanted to just talk a little bit before I start taking phone calls. Today I would like to talk about giving. I know that's quite a turn from just mentioning statistics, but bear with me and let me explain. I sincerely believe that giving can help heal our hearts of sadness, fear, and bitterness. It is quite easy to feel all of these emotions at one time or another, or all at once. It is very important that we continually remind ourselves that regardless of the things life has dealt us, we only live once. And life is short. I believe that's what drives me. I'm not ignoring the fact that I did not get to have children. I never want us to deny how we feel or what we've been through. I want us to learn to use, what we've been through to our advantage, though. Instead of allowing life's negatives to control us, we have to take control of the negatives of life. We have to decide to make a choice. Not just make a choice, but decide to make a choice. Sometimes it is a minute-by-minute choice, not just day by day, but it is called choice for a reason. We could choose to allow the negative thoughts and feelings to set in, to take over, or we could choose not to allow it. Bad things happen to people all around the world every day, every minute of every day. Every day, people have to choose to survive these bad events, and then they have to choose to live the best life they can despite what they have been through. This is why I am very big on giving. I do most of my giving during the Christmas season. Some years I ask friends to help me by contributing items or money towards my favorite causes. I usually find someone who is willing to help, and it's an awesome feeling on my part and on theirs. But of course, we should, give as often as we can throughout the year. Why am I so big on giving? Because I truly believe that when we give, we think of ourselves less. Please know that giving does not only mean financially. We can give of our time by volunteering, and we can give of our resources. After all, what is it that you know that you can teach someone else, teach others? There are many organizations that need help right there in your corner of the world. I will tell you that I personally give to organizations where I can see the money at work. So you see, we can give, donate, contribute without feeling weird or making others feel weird, because we know inevitably there is going to be that one person who will make a silly comment such as, "You're only doing all of this because you don't have any kids." People say the silliest things when they really probably could not deal with what you are dealing with. In fact, they may have the same problems or issues, but do not want to face them. Or maybe they don't know how to face them. At any rate, I say find a cause that is near and dear to your heart and then give. When you give to others in any capacity, when you take your mind off of you, it gives you, your mind, your thoughts, a break. The point is not to force yourself or allow anyone else to force you into a situation where you may feel uncomfortable. Life is too short to pretend. Take it one day at a time. I think what many people do not understand or realize is that for most women who wanted but could not have children, it is a loss. I have watched women spend thousands of dollars trying to get pregnant. For some of them, there was success. For others, there was not. Many insurance plans cover very little when it comes to infertility treatments. Yes, that's life. But just like anyone else who has suffered loss, we need to be empathetic. Look, we live in a very politically correct society. And of course, the last thing a childless woman wants is to be singled out or called out. That is not the point I'm trying to make. That is not what I want to happen. What I'm saying is we should be sensitive to what people are going through. Not everyone is living the same type of life you are, and vice versa. There is no need to poke someone in the eye to make you feel better about yourself. We all need to be thankful for what we have. And, that's the key. Giving and thankfulness, that will it'll turn things around. It sounds so simple, but trust me, try it and you'll see that it really, really works. And at any rate, we should all have something to be thankful for. Whether or not we have children, we have other things in our lives and other people in our lives that we can, that we are thankful for. If you have children, treasure them, listen to them, nurture them. No one's mad at you because you have children. But if you know of a woman who wanted but does not have children, she knows whether or not your empathy is sincere. So just keep that in mind as you go through life, as we all go through life. We all have to deal with different things, different hurts, different pains, but it helps when we are empathetic towards each other and understanding, and we stop a minute to understand what the other person is saying or what they're going through. There's a scripture that I rely on quite a bit, actually. It says, "He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." That's in Revelations 21, verse 4. I just read the New International Version. I do not think we will ever feel 100% about our situation until that time. I'm not here to make a promise like that. I am saying that we can choose to live a very good life regardless. I looked up the definitions of two words most of us know the meanings of, but I wanted to know the official dictionary definitions because I want to prove something to all of us. Dictionary.com says that the word cope means to struggle or deal, especially on fairly even terms or with some degree of success. Then I looked up the word manage, to bring about or succeed in accomplishing, sometimes despite difficulty or hardship. I would rather manage than cope, as in manage my life regardless of the situations I have been dealt. So I am here to show us how to manage, control, command our lives one day at a time. So I hope this word has been helpful to someone. Remember, here at 21st Century Hannah, I am planning some great shows, great topics related to the childlessness of women, planning some guests and some giveaways, so stay tuned. And if there's a topic you would like to discuss in a future show, please let me know. And remember, I am online right now. I'm on Facebook right now, and I am on Twitter right now. My Twitter handle is @Sevilla1, if you prefer to communicate that way. If you prefer to email questions or comments rather than calling in, my email address is booksbysevillamorgan@gmail.com. That's booksbysevillamorgan@gmail.com.
Call Morgan Air when temperatures rise and get comfort without compromise. When your AC breaks, baby, don't lose your cool. The Morgan Air pros are ready for you. They can fix it or replace it for a price that's fair. For comforts without compromise, call Morgan Air.
If your AC system just isn't working right or your utility bills are too high, it may be time to install a new Bryant air conditioner. Morgan Air, a Bryant dealer, will do whatever it takes to provide financing and even has a no credit check option available. Call Morgan Air Conditioning, a Bryant dealer. Call 813-500-7765 or visit our website morganac.com. Morgan Air, comfort without compromise. License number CAC 1814036.
Call Morgan Air when temperatures rise and get comfort without compromise.
Okay, so we're back here at 21st Century Hannah. Remember to feel free to give me a call. Tell me what you think about the content, about what I'm saying, in the beginning. Let me know if you have any questions or comments going forward. Just give me a call. Give me a shout out. Let me know you're listening. I would love to hear from you.
21st Century Hannah.
Yes, sir.
You would never think, I was just sitting here telling Rashawn that people from all walks of life, these are the people that you kind of take for granted. And there are people out there, because the Bible tells us to pray with all supplication. That's one of the ones that, you're like, oh, man, you miss those people. And it's so good that you have a program addressing those issues.
Right.
And it's not just with ladies, but their husbands as well.
Exactly.
So what are some of the issues that a woman who cannot have a child, what do they face?
Well, before I answer that, I want to go back to something you just said.
What's that?
You mentioned praying with all supplication.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have to, and I'll talk about this on a future show. I'm sorry. Well, maybe future shows, not just one future show, because this is a hot topic too.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of times when we pray and we don't get the answers that we're hoping for.
Uh-huh.
So there are women out there who have prayed like Hannah for a child, and the answer was no. Maybe they had to end up adopting, or maybe they had to end up never having a child of their own. And so we have to be able to live with no and know that God knows why the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of Hannah, her prayer was answered 6 times over, if I remember the story correctly, because God gave her Samuel, one of the great prophets in the Bible, but he gave her 5 additional children.
Mm-hmm.
So because she prayed in earnest, and she prayed so much that the priest thought she was drunk, and she believed when God told her she would have a child, he answered her prayer. But it doesn't happen like that for everyone.
Rejection is hard to take.
It is.
And especially rejection from a loving God.
Exactly. You feel rejected, but you have to keep in mind that he knows why. You've got to just, sometimes, some days you're going to have to hang on to that with your fingernails, that he knows why.
Do you feel broken? Do you feel deprived? Do you feel like, Lord, why me?
I have felt that. I know many women in this same situation have felt the same way. That's another thing. I'm going to have to be transparent with this show. And I realized that when I set out on this course, that there are times when I will have to be transparent. And this is one of those times. The answer is yes. I have asked, why me? Why? I am your daughter. Why did you not answer my prayer? And in my case, especially as being a Christian, not wanting to have a child out of wedlock, yet another story that I can talk about in the future. Why didn't you answer my prayer for a husband so that I, could hurry up and have that child before, circumstances set in? So for me, in my case, and I'm sure this is again for many women, I got a double whammy: no husband, no children.
Wow.
So, but I still believe and trust in God. I know he knows why. He knows when, he knows where, he knows everything. And I know that part of it is that there are so many hurting women out there that I can internalize this pain and just deal with it on my own and become bitter, or I can step outside, way outside of my comfort zone.
And you're listening to the voice of experience, ladies and guys, to 407-894-1680. It's 21st Century Hannah with Sevilla Morgan here on Gospel 1680. And she has a unique ministry. You'll be able to hear her ministry each and every first and third Monday at 11:30 right here. Powerful ministry. And again, we tend to neglect those who are in a situation like you are. What about the options? Adoption, surrogate mother, those things, foster kids. Yes, no, what happened?
Those are all options, yes. And I will tell you again, I really believe, at least in my case, that God was doing something that I just did not understand. There were a couple of times that I looked at adoption. Some agencies do not like the fact that you're single. You know, they want you to have a two-parent household. And I think that's something that they really need to revisit, especially, and I'm not saying I'm particularly a woman of means. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying especially for women of means, if you have the means to raise a child financially, by yourself, financially, spiritually, emotionally, then I think that they should look at it, especially if that woman has positive male figures in her family, in her life, because there are many children out there who need to be loved and adopted, but a lot of organizations don't want to talk to you if you're by yourself. And again, I just refused. And it was a risk I took, and sometimes I feel like it was a risk that I lost.
Are you on a waiting list or something?
No, I feel at this point in my life, and my mom has asked me if I would even reconsider adopting, but I feel like at this point in my life, it's not an option for me anymore. And so I don't want to go down that road.
So you're saying God has changed your mission? Is that what you're saying?
Well, mission is my mission is to talk to women who could not have children. But he has not changed my mission. My mission to adopt was something I wanted to do because I wanted to raise and nurture a child. Was it God's mission? I don't think so. I will tell you a really weird story really quickly.
Okay.
I was working at the time at a financial services firm. I had been there for 11 years, so I was making some money. You know, and I took some time off one day. I had made an appointment to go meet with an adoption agency not too far from where I worked. And I took the time off from work, which was not always easy to do. And I went to look for the adoption agency, and I never found it. I drove.
Are you serious, Savannah?
I drove up and down that street, and I tried calling the lady. I could not get her to answer the phone. And finally, when I just went back to work and called, she answers the phone. And I'm like, I tried finding you. I couldn't find you. And her response was, well.
So did you see that as, well, you had to see it as divine intervention?
I believe so. It may sound corny to some people, but I really believe that God just has other plans for me.
He's sovereign.
He's sovereign. He knows what he's doing, and it's not always easy on a human level to see. And when other people are looking in, they're probably thinking, what's wrong with her? What happened? But I know I serve a sovereign God, and I don't have to answer to human beings.
So there are ladies who are asking that. I know they're sitting in their car or at home where they're sipping their coffee on this President's Day. They're saying, well, who comes first, the chicken or the egg? Who comes first, the husband or the child? So don't you have to get the husband first?
As a Christian, yes, I believe that is the correct.
But I hear a but there.
But I hear, well, no, there.
I hear a but there, Sevilla. I can hear a but.
But
as the Christian, yes, but.
But I understand women who do not do that. I'm not saying it's right.
Yes.
But I also understand why women want the child, because we are born nurturers. There's something inside us that it's built into us, most of us, most women, that we want a child. We want a baby. And that's just how we were made. There's no denying it. And so I understand why women go the route of having a child on their own, going through in vitro fertilization on their own, or whatever it is they're doing on their own. I understand. But as a Christian woman, I believe that marriage should come first. So I was, as I mentioned earlier, I was battling with I'm not going to say find Mr. Right, because the word says he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Mr. Right hadn't found you
so
yet.
Mr. Right hadn't found me yet.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I was dealing with that and the fact that I was having physical problems that were going to culminate in me not being able to have children if I didn't meet him on time.
You knew this.
I knew this.
Wow.
And I dealt with it for 15 years. And just begged God. I'm like, God, what are you doing? I am your daughter. I'm serving you. I go to church. I'm not perfect. I've had my moments. I've had my times. And for most of my life, my parents were my pastors. And so I've had to go to my pastors, my parents, with things. And they've had to, not had to, but they have forgiven me. And I've had discussions with my mom about possibly in vitro fertilization. I've been through everything that you can think of mentally, physically, emotionally.
Wow.
And so I have decided.
So you were like, if I can't get a guy to do it, then I'll go to and have it medically done.
It was a thought.
Yes.
But I knew deep down that was not the right route.
Really?
As a Christian woman.
Do you think that's wrong? As a Christian woman?
I'm not saying it's wrong. Because I said before, I understand why women do it, but I'm saying that as a Christian, I believe that you should be married and then have the children. So those were the two battles I was having: not meeting Mr. Right and running into not having children. 407-894-1680. This is 21st Century Hannah with your host, Sevilla Morgan. This is her second show, so folks, call in and welcome her to the WOKB family. She is a great ministry that has been birthed from her experience, and she's ready to share what God has given her concerning this very, very, very sensitive topic of not being able to bear children. Again, 407-894-1680. So, Sevilla, what happened? How did he speak to you and say, okay, my child, you're not going to have children, but this is what you're going to do? How did you accept that? I think the acceptance was that I have to trust God. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. And my faith in God is it supersedes all of that. So I just believe that he knows what he's doing. So that's what it is. Diana?
Hi, Sevilla. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good. And how are you, Glenn? Good.
Hi, Diana.
Hi. I'd just like to say I'm enjoying the discussion. And what I wanted to say that you addressed, thank you for, like I say, such a sensitive subject. And what I like to say is that when women go through different things, or even as a Christian, whatever we go through or deal with, we don't understand, like you said, God, why me? But a lot of times, and most time, our ministry, the way that God has preparing us, he understands everything, what we're going to go through in life, what we're going to deal with. A lot of things that we go through, it's not even for us, as I was ministering to a friend of mine. It's for someone else.
It's true.
And God entrusts us with the trials or temptations or what we deal with so we can help someone else on the broad spectrum, on a large scale. We're one individual. And you know that song called Precious Lord?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I read the story behind the writer of that song, and can I just say for a second? His wife died in childbearing. Okay, and as he thought the baby was still going to live and everything like that, so he mourned his wife, and not long after that, the baby died. So he was so in despair that he wrote that song. He just couldn't take it anymore. He said, "Precious Lord," and we all can, when we hear that song, that has ministered to so many thousands of people, if not millions, over the years. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I'm tired. So what I'm saying, that much sorrow the Lord allowed him to go through so he can help all of those millions of people.
It wasn't
He's
about
one
him.
individual.
Right.
The Lord entrusted him with that sorrow so he can minister to others. So in what I'm trying to say in your situation, God allowed you to be barren so you can minister to others. And we don't understand it, but it's a blessing to be entrusted with that ministry. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand, and I appreciate your saying that. And thank you so much for calling in, Diana, because you are so correct. Thank you so much. And Jordy, looks like I have another call. Jordy?
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm good. Is that my Jordy?
It is. I just wanted to call and say that I listen to your show. My father and I are listening to your show, and we're going to continue to listen in. And I truly believe that you have a great message to share, and I just wanted to call and give you my support, and I'll be listening.
Thank you so much. That's my oldest nephew, Jordy. I have 3 nephews. Those people are the loves of my life, not just because I didn't have children, because they were born way before I knew I wasn't going to have any children. But those 3 people right there, they stole my heart and they never gave it back. So thank you so much for calling in, Jordy. I appreciate it. And my brother, Brainerd. Thank you, guys.
Love you very much.
All right. Bye. Love you. Well, thanks for those calls, everyone. I really appreciate your calling in, and I know we just have a couple minutes before we have to go, but I want to thank you for calling in. I know it's a touchy subject, so I know not everybody wants to call. I know that a lot of people are probably just listening, but feel free to call, and feel free to email or just whatever you want to do to support. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the first Monday of March. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye.
Call Morgan Air when temperatures rise and get comfort without compromise. When your AC breaks, baby, don't lose your cool. The Morgan Air pros are ready for you. They can fix it or replace it for a price that's fair. For comforts without compromise, call Morgan Air.
If your AC system just isn't working right or your utility bills are too high, it may be time to install a new Bryant air conditioner. Morgan Air, a Bryant dealer, will do whatever it takes to provide financing and even has a no credit check option available. Call Morgan Air Conditioning, a Bryant dealer. Call 813-500-7765 or visit our website morganac.com. Morgan Air, comfort without compromise. License number CAC 1814036.
Call Morgan Air when temperatures rise and get comfort without compromise.